Welcome, everybody. I am Belgian Abraham, Chief Executive of ChannelNext team. Just to introduce us, ChannelNext is a value-added distribution platform to the products and services in the field of cybersecurity and management. We focus on mainly introducing new, innovative, and stable products and services that are built from ground up to meet in-depth defense for the users. Okay. So we recently partnered with LogicMonitor, a leading cloud-based infrastructure monitoring and observability platform for enterprise and MSPs. The headquarters in California and USA. I have here with me Ken Morrow from LogicMonitor, who is the channel and alliance manager of Southern Europe and Middle East region. And we have our technical director, Sharif Abbas. We look forward to work together to deliver IT monitoring and visibility solution that helps end user streamline their process and gain valuable insights. All right. So I respect everyone's time here. So we don't need to wait so long. I just want to request everyone, please be interactive and make this session as informative as possible. Because this is everyone's time is really important, and I know we need to make use of it. I'll leave it over to Ken to take it through the product and give an overview of what LogicMonitor and what are the benefits of it. Over to you, Ken. Thank you once again.
Perfect. Thank you, Belgian. Lovely to meet you all, and thank you for attending the session with us today. Belgian, thank you for the introduction. We're looking forward to working together and being kind of a partner with ChannelNext. So essentially, in this session today, we'll be covering a little bit around monitoring and the analytics strategy in terms of IT infrastructure. And we'll focus as well on how LogicMonitor can help here. So how can LogicMonitor help you achieve what you need to do from a business perspective? Let's see if this works. There we go. A little bit better. What we'll do is we'll understand the businesses that we work with in this presentation. So we'll cover a little bit more on what we uncover, what are the common challenges we see across the different industries and different type of businesses we work with. And we'll also cover how LogicMonitor helps here. We'll finish the session with a brief overview and demonstration of the platform itself. So again, if you have any questions throughout, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A, and I'm sure we'll cover them throughout the session as well. So just some background on where we are in terms of IT infrastructure. So the reality is over the last decade, IT infrastructure has changed a lot. So has the value of IT infrastructure to organizations. So this is how the organizations see the IT infrastructure and IT division within the organization. Yesterday, the past or yesterday or a few years ago's IT infrastructure was complex, but it was nowhere near as complex and distributed as it is today. So it's fair to say that most probably 10 years ago, most organizations, IT infrastructure was mostly on-prem, a few data center, and a mix of VMware and physical servers. But that has changed drastically. So today, when we look at today's IT infrastructure, and this continues to evolve and change, but the focus here is, and what we can see is mostly the focus on agility and cost control and innovation. So this is just a simple diagram of how we see it being structured. And obviously, the modern IT is a mix of on-prem, you can see a bit of cloud, different hosting providers, IaaS, PaaS, cloud, SaaS-based apps, new monitoring technologies, new network technologies. So it's a really bigger mix for the IT team to work with, but also keep an eye on and be able to monitor and understand what is happening in that environment. So these are a few of the common problems we see when speaking to customers about monitoring and the new complex environment that they're dealing with. From a monitoring standpoint, again, these are based on all the conversations we're having. These are based on all the conversations with customers and prospects. We see that on average, an enterprise organization has about 8 different monitoring tools in place at the same time. So again, this leads to too many tools, so tool sprawl. This leads to siloed visibility, so each team has only view on the devices they look after, but there is no overarching single pane of glass view of what is happening in the infrastructure. Obviously, rising costs due to underutilized resources being deployed, obviously, as well as SLAs being missed. Any downtime causes rising costs as well. But a lot of the time we see that modernization as well causes kind of a review of monitoring, and this becomes a challenge for customers. So adding new technologies or new environments, this can cause, again, a few issues for some customers. And sometimes, most of the time, they're looking for a new tool that will help them monitor everything they have in one place. So again, coming back to the main reasons our customers are moving over to LogicMonitor from traditional monitoring tools. Traditional monitoring tools, one, are very costly to administer and and impossible to keep up to date. So again, that's one of the reasons they moved to LogicMonitor, which is SaaS. And I'll cover a bit more on LogicMonitor, so don't worry, this is just the lay of the land of the industry of what we're seeing happening in the space. And another reason, obviously, is too many alerts. So LogicMonitor has inbuilt intelligence to help with identifying root cause quicker and obviously reducing the time spent on finding and sifting through alerts to find the issue. And LogicMonitor enables our customer to move from being very proactive with their monitoring to being very strategic and reactive. So really having IT sit basically in the cockpit of an organization and making decisions alongside the operations. So IT moving from just the IT function to having an operations function and a strategic function that helps lead the organization where they want to go. So why LogicMonitor? Just as a quick overview, we have today we serve 2,000 customers globally in over 30 countries. We're helping both managed service providers and enterprise size organization, as this is where the challenge of infrastructure monitoring is most complex today. So we're very proud to say that, from the Gartner Peer Score that you see on here, that we have a very high Gartner Peer Insight Score, which means that on average we've been scored 4.7 to 5 on Gartner from the customers that we have. But the 2,000 customers doesn't tell a full story of our global reach. We have 75,000 users on our platform, and that's because we have over 500 managed service providers who use LogicMonitor and provide monitoring as a service to nearly 7,000 of their own customers. So just to give you an idea, some of the managed services customers include companies like NTT. So that's, again, a big name, who use LogicMonitor to monitor infrastructure, but also make sure that the ServiceNow CMDB is kept up to date and accurate. So again, here, users of the platform are very satisfied. We have a very good satisfaction score of 98%. So again, we're getting really good scores there from the customers who rate us. And we're growing really rapidly. So again, we have 9 global offices to date, but we're working with partners in different regions like Channel Next and in the UAE to support our growth and to support the conversations that we're having in those regions. So really, I want to introduce you to what makes the platform special from a top-level perspective, and different, I guess, from the monitoring tools that maybe you recognize or you're aware of. So LogicMonitor offers a SaaS-based solution. So we are also agentless. And that means that we're actually really, really quick to deploy. So we're a secure, intelligent collector-based approach to deploying monitoring in your environment or in customer environments. So you can deploy that collector on a server or a virtual machine, and it's highly scalable. So you need one per environment. So again, being agentless means that you don't need to install an agent on every device that you want to monitor. On average, we see that our customers see a very rapid ROI. Just to give you figures, they see 4-time return on investment typically in their first year. In terms of coverage, we have a deep and broad monitoring and analytics capabilities. We're able to automatically monitor without major configuration over 2,000 technologies. So we have 2,000 data sources out of the box, including AWS, Azure, enterprise technologies such as Cisco, EMC, Microsoft. These are just examples of what we already have out of the box. So our strength really is the ability to provide insight in the most complex enterprise hybrid infrastructure environments. So again, really having kind of helping those customers move from contextual insight to, again, as we mentioned, infrastructure intelligence, and promoting IT within the organization to have a more, if you want, prominent position in the organization, but also more strategic position. So LogicMonitor helps you how? So again, we've covered, just deploy faster just earlier on the slide, but deploy faster is just one of the ways that we help you. So we deploy faster, we help you monitor more, and we automate more. And within these, there are quite a few elements from our platform that fall into these. So obviously being SaaS-based, I mentioned earlier, our platform also auto-detects devices, instances, and configurations to get you up and running in days, not months, by auto-discovering and pre-configuring everything. So again, to give you an example, Schneider Electric is one of our customers. They signed on in December last year, so December 2020. And they signed on for 20,000 devices. And by the end of January 2021, they'd already deployed 3/4 of these already have monitoring set up, alerts coming through, and dashboards pre-configured for these. So again, when we come to rapid deployment, a number like that would have taken typically months to get up and running. From a monitor more perspective, you benefit from a single pane of glass view of your infrastructure. Obviously, we can cover on-prem, cloud, and data sources and all the new technologies in one place. Our platform enables you to also provide comprehensive device coverage and technologies and logs as well. And from an automation standpoint, so let's imagine you're short-staffed, or you can't hire enough, or you can't retain enough talent fast enough or train fast enough. Again, this is where LogicMonitor comes in to help. So we have service reliability, our AI ops capability, along with service reliability, integrated workflows, and 2,000 integrations will help the team spend more time on what matters. So they will be able to focus on projects that will drive the business forward and spend less time on configuring monitoring and figuring out what is happening with the monitoring in the first place. So again, this is just a quick overview to say, how we are helping organizations move from manual processes with the current tools they're using to having automated processes that save time and allow you to do more. So these slide decks will be shared. So please, if you have any questions, let me know. But this is just an overview of the features that make us quick, make us reliable, and make your team be able to focus on more critical projects for the business. So just to cover a little bit on the automated discovery, because that's, I think, a really interesting feature of LogicMonitor, and also encapsulates the fact that we're agentless. So we use the LogicMonitor collector to actually collect the data and get the data back from the devices that you have in your environment. And we use over 20 protocols, or if you want, the collector speaks 20 different protocols, depending on the devices that it finds. And once it brings, it brings the data back into the platform, this is what we mean by from day one, you're automatically getting metrics by using LogicMonitor. So I'd like to cover quickly how our architecture is built, just for you to have an idea on how this is structured. So we are a hybrid monitoring infrastructure platform. So we monitor cloud out of the box, so we can add OS level metrics in addition to what you get via the API. So you install a collector on a VM. The collector is represented here by this little circle. And again, this is what it covers in the infrastructure space out of the box. The tool is very intelligent. So you have over 150 dashboards pre-configured. So as soon as the devices are brought into the platform, these are populated. So from day one, again, you have dashboards to share with the different levels of your organization, or if you're a managed service provider, you can share these with your customers to show performance of their environments. From an alerting standpoint, we have alert thresholds preset as well based on vendor best practices. Out of the box, obviously, these are all amendable, so you can go in and change these and configure these based on your environment. But from day one, again, from deploying LogicMonitor, you're able to get alerts in and understand how your environment is performing. What's really interesting about reporting, again, this is out of the box, but the reporting piece from LogicMonitor is very interesting, especially if you're looking to look at trends or track how specific devices are doing, or be able to send activity reports to whoever that you need to send these to. So again, these are accessible via the platform, but these are also, you're also able to set and schedule time for these to be sent on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis at a specific time. And this is where we get to the intelligence part. So we have forecasting capabilities already been built into LogicMonitor for capacity planning, to help you with capacity planning. We have topology maps to show the relationship between the different devices that you have in an environment. And we have the AI analytics piece that obviously is the intelligence that we keep building into the platform to help with anomaly detection and so on. And it's really important to note that we have integrations out of the box. So we have integrations into ITSM tools, ticketing tools, and as well orchestration and so on. So these are just a few, but again, we have an open API. So if you have a specific technology or integration that you're looking to build, this is also a possibility. It's worth noting that we have 2,000 integrations out of the box that I mentioned, but again, we've developed a platform called LM Exchange, and that's where all our customers can upload, if they want, data sources that they've built themselves. So the idea with LogicMonitor is we provide you a very good stepping stone for you to cover everything you have in your environment out of the box. But obviously, if you have very bespoke technologies, or if you're looking to monitor specific devices that potentially aren't infrastructure devices, but can reveal metrics, that's a possibility. To give you an example, Siemens Healthineers is a customer in the UK. And what they do is they monitor MRI and CT scanners in hospitals. And again, as you can imagine, those data sources did not come out of the box. So just before we jump into the demo, I'll quickly cover these as well. So it's interesting for you to know that we have 3 pillars that our platform is built on. It's see more, know more, and do more. And again, everything we develop and everything we release falls into the 3 pillars. In terms of updates and releases, again, we release updates approximately once a month. And this happens in the background while the software is up and running. So you don't have to have scheduled downtime for your solution or work on upgrades yourself. This is all covered by LogicMonitor by being a SaaS platform. I will quickly jump into the demo because I realize we've covered 20 minutes and I want to leave some time for the Q&A as well. But I'll run quickly through these slides and then we can take it from there. Essentially, this just gives you an overview of where LogicMonitor sits. Essentially, this is what we can cover today. We are working on becoming, we're working on becoming, with all the acquisitions that we've done over the last 2 years. So we've acquired log anomaly detection, and we've just acquired as well Airbrake, which is a DevOps tool that helps with, again, running environments and so on. And the idea is we are building a visibility tool. So we're building a tool that will help you with the future, not first from an infrastructure standpoint, but really have a full view of observability into your environment. These will all be sent to you, but again, so I'm just whizzing through here. These are just some of our customers. So again, I'm sure you recognize some of these in here. We work with different industries. We work across the board. So LogicMonitor is a tool that comes and helps you solve the problems that you have within your infrastructure. And again, these can be across healthcare, retail, government, so financial services. So it's really a mix of customers that we have. And again, these are use cases, but obviously we will share these with you on this front. So again, part of the big pain that some customers have is having too many tickets and having, spending too much time sifting through tickets and to find what the problem is, especially when you're a managed service provider where you have a license where you pay, your customers pay you per ticket and so on, or you're paid per ticket. So again, what we're able to do is really increase the team's efficiency and give them full visibility into the environment and how their customer environments are doing. So again, this is where LogicMonitors come in to make Leewin Technologies more efficient and help them increase their business down the line. And again, these are just some of the business impacts that West Monroe has seen, reduced operational cost, fixed problems before issues impact clients. Again, this is going back to being very proactive and helping organizations move from being reactive to proactive. And again, automatic service tickets creation via ServiceNow. This relates to our integrations. So again, with our integrations, you can open, close tickets automatically without having to do this manually. So if you do have a ticketing system in place, this is something we can easily integrate into.
Can I interrupt in between? A couple of questions are there so that
of course
it should be interactive. So Vinesh, hi. He would like to know, look, thinking about monitoring, will it provide performance metrics and logging?
Yes, so we will. Yes, it does. So I will show you this in the demo. But yes, we will be able to provide log anomaly detection as well as infrastructure monitoring metrics.
Do you have a complete on-premise option or only a hybrid variety?
Unfortunately, we're a SaaS platform only. We don't have an on-prem version of our tool, but we do cover, from a monitoring standpoint, we cover all environments. So we can monitor hybrid, we can monitor cloud and on-prem and both.
Do you sell module-based like how SolarWinds does, so that it is a little easy for medium-scale enterprise to start up with and try it out?
Mm-hmm.
What is the minimum device count to start with?
Mm-hmm. So we do have different packages. The way we put our packages together is slightly different to SolarWinds. So it's less modular in terms of technologies or functionalities. It's more around data retention. So we have a pro or an enterprise package. The pro is 1 year of unaggregated data retention, and enterprise is 2 years of unaggregated data retention. So that's the main differentiator. Enterprise does have more intelligence and AI ops, so it depends on what your functionality and how advanced you need the intelligence to be. All the intelligence on alerting exists in both package licenses or both options. In terms, to answer your question around number of devices, typically our minimum number of devices is 100 devices as a starting point.
Thank you. And the person, like vendors saying agent-based are more in terms of security because agentless has its own difficulties in connections, and so that is really not good in terms of security. Is anything right in terms of this particular comment?
So we've been a SaaS specialist and agentless for 10 years. So this is something, part of the technology that we've built into the platform from day one. And a lot of what we've done is your data is encrypted. There's a dual encryption, one at rest and one in transit. So again, the data is never exposed. It's always encrypted. So again, from the agent to our data centers, it's all encrypted all the way.
Okay, but I just want to know whether you said it's agentless. So when you talk about the agent, you mean it's a collector?
Yes, collector. This is exactly what we mean by agentless. So we've called our agent a collector just to make it differentiate from a tool where you need to install a collector on every device. So when we say we're agentless, there is a collector installation, but the difference is instead of having to install an agent on every single resource that you want to monitor, you just need one collector per environment. So that could be per location, that could be per IP range. There is really a lot of flexibility as to what you define as your parameter. But for example, organizations that are global and would have an office in Dubai, for example, an office in Singapore, and an office in the US, they would typically need 3 collectors and failover collectors. So you're looking at three collectors being installed in each of the one in each of the locations, and that's enough to bring all the devices into monitoring versus having to install an agent on every single device you have in each of these locations.
This particular solution is almost kind of SolarWinds, PRTG, Datadog in that level. But when it considering opposite to open source like Zabbix, how can you add value? Because could you please let us know?
Definitely. So we do come across a lot of previous customers who used to who used to use Zabbix or Nagios, which are a lot of the most popular open source tools out there. And the way LogicMonitor really comes in, what we end up finding when customers use Nagios and Zabbix is you have one or two internal experts within the organization who know how these open source tools were configured and set up. And what they tend to find is, okay, this works, but as soon as your environment grows and you're at a significantly large environment than when you started, it becomes very hard to maintain and keep this up to date. Also, another issue is these experts that you have internally. Once they leave, there is no manual of how your monitoring was set up. So what tends to happen is, typically their departure starts an investigation for new monitoring, because they realize that actually all the knowledge sat with that one person in their brain, and as soon as they've gone, they've lost that knowledge with them. So the idea of LogicMonitor is to present a tool and a platform that is easy to deploy, easy to use, where the knowledge sits within the platform, again, so it's not sitting with one person. And you can use it. So typically we'd have one or two admins who have the right to change, configure, update. But most of the time, the whole organization has access to it using role-based access controls, and they have only views on specific areas that are relevant to them. So to give you an example, Ted Baker is one of our large customers that we work with in the UK. And what they've done is they've given access to the CFO. They're tracking how many orders they have online versus how quick the production line is warehoused. So they were really able to, if you want, set up this environment to really be the single source of truth, not just for the IT team, but for the whole organization.
Thank you, Kenzen. One more. In case we use alternative already and plan to switch to LogicMonitor, will migration be possible, or how easy it is and how well you can do
it? Sorry, what was the initial tool?
Any tools.
Any tool.
If we are using an alternative, for example, we are using PRTG or SolarWinds, how how easy the migration will be when we switch to LogicMonitor, and how it can be possible.
Of course. So the deployment is relatively quick. Typically, we'd run with a lot of our customers obviously deploying LogicMonitor, we'd run a trial or a proof of value. And in that trial, which typically is a 2-week trial, and the reason we keep it that short is we want to prove out that in 2 weeks, you can actually set up monitoring and get all your devices into monitoring, which is the case. So typically, you've already set it up in your proof of value, running that trial, and you're able to then obviously just keep using that environment or set up a very similar environment. But a lot of our services, a lot of our customers, when they migrate over, are up and running within less than a month. So the migration is relatively easy. We unfortunately don't have a way to migrate the historic data over, but obviously this is, a lot of our customers will run one, both in parallel for a month or a month and a half, both tools, and then eventually move off the legacy tool that they're working on.
Thank you. You can continue with questions are all done.
Perfect. I'm quickly going to jump into the demo portal. That way we can give you an overview and an idea on how this operates as a whole. Let me quickly see if I can, yes, I'm just logging in. Sorry, apologies. It's there we go. Let me see. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Not it. Yep.
Has it shown up? Perfect. So this is just, I'm in the dashboard section at the moment, and I've gone to our alerts overview. And this is obviously our demo environment, so it will be very different for your own environment, depending on what sort of technologies you have. But we know that a lot of the organizations that we work with, part of the main, the most important dashboards that they want is obviously having an alerts overview where they can see all the alerts that they have, a NOC dashboard, as well as these on a map. So what's really interesting is at any point, if you want to click on these, this will take you to the resource itself. So you can very quickly move from the device itself to the resource itself. So for example, here we have a device and we can look at CPU, we can look at queue length and so on. These are all the metrics that are being collected. But I think I'd like to cover here a bit more on the AI part of things and the intelligence that's pre-built into it. So at any point, you can expand this to look at different time ranges. So obviously this is set for 2 hours, but you have the option to go for the last 30 days. You have the option to extend that to the last year. And you have all this unaggregated data. At any point, if there are any specific spikes and you want to explain what happened for you to have a note, you can add in ops notes. So these are just our own ops notes on what's happened, but you can easily put them in at any point in your own environment to keep track of any updates that may have impacted the performance for you to know what happened when you look back. Again, if I look back at let's say the last 5 hours, and I'm interested in, let's say, this section only, it's very easy. I highlight and it will automatically zoom into the time period that I want. And this can be done for a few hours or a few months or a few years, and it's all unaggregated data. I'm gonna quickly close this. So again, the AI ops piece. So at any point, we can look at forecasting capabilities. So again, oh, maybe this is the wrong example for forecasting, but anomaly detection, for example. So our tool will start learning the behavior of your device. So it will use historic data from that device to forecast what normal looks like. And normal is highlighted in gray here. So this band, if you want, of gray is what how this device normally behaves. So anything outside the norm of this gray, you will get an alert. So anything in red really is where you're getting alerts to say something's not right. Please look at this. Or if obviously we have more information, it will provide the details of what is going on. Okay, so let me quickly go back to the dashboard. So again, we're just talking about the alerts in the dashboard. Again, you can, based on the environment, you will see different devices. But let's go back to the resource tree. So on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, you have all of the different sections. So we're in the dashboard section now. All your devices live in resources. So once the devices are identified by the collector, these will be brought into your resources. And typically the devices are classified the way you want to. So you will automatically get them classified by type, which is what I'm looking at right now. But you can also classify them the way you want. So you can classify them by location, for example, or if you're a managed service provider, by customer. And a device can feature in as many folders, if you want, device folders as you want. So it is really ease of management. That way you can create tags and tokens to create dashboards easily based on the device groups that you have. But if we're going to quickly look at device type, this is just, an idea of what we have already. I've selected a few because I know our platform keeps changing regularly in terms of what we have in here. So I wanted to make sure that we have something to show and I don't click on empty resources. Let me quickly see. There we go. So if we look at an ESX host, for example, and we're interested in CPU, we can expand this. And at any point, this has multiple ones, but I can look at forecasting, for example, and you could look at the forecasting for each of these. So, and this will give you forecasting data with 90%, 95% confidence based on the range that you want. So you could be forecasting for 7 days, you can be forecasting for the next 3 months, and you can be forecasting for the next year. So it really depends on what your preference is and what you're trying to do. I mentioned that obviously we have a lot of dashboards out of the box. So I'm going to quickly go back to show you a few that I think are very interesting. So if we just click here, you'll be able to see that we do have quite a lot. And if I'm going to go to underutilized resources, which is an area that a lot of our customers use to identify where, especially in the cloud, if they're using cloud environments, where they have underutilized resources that they aren't using and could potentially cut costs. So again, this is just an example of what we have in our environment today. So you can see which ones have the most available CPU, the servers with available memory, and the same underutilized resources dashboard is out of the box as well for on-premise devices. So you can do that as well to understand how your on-premise devices are performing, what is their utilization, and what could you be doing to ensure that you're using your devices to their full potential. I don't know if cloud is a big interest, but we have cloud billing. So I'm guessing Azure is the one that's the most popular. Again, we are able to segment your environments, and this can be done for, if you have a multi-cloud approach and you have AWS and Azure environments, you can easily have a dashboard similar to this that has both in there. But essentially, this will again show you where your costs lie, with which teams, or with which divisions, or with which regions, and you're able to split the cost of your environment. Especially if you're a managed service provider and you're offering, cloud as a service, you're able to also split, kind of return the cost to the end customer and understand their utilization. So I'm quickly going to go into the report section because I mentioned it earlier. Again, these are all reports that you have out of the box. What is interesting, I'm just going to do device performance. A lot of our customers, for example, would have an automated report for server CPU report every month. And again, if I click on this, for example, just for you to see, you are able to schedule a report, and you can schedule it on a day, a specific month, a specific time. You can also change this by time zone, so to make sure that this is in line with whoever you're sending it to, especially if you have a global organization. And this will go out at this specific time to the specific person every month or every week without having to manually do this. Quickly going to go back to resources. I know a big question as well that we typically get is around how do we add resources to your environment, right? A question that came up earlier was, well, you use a collector and you're not agentless, so how does this happen? So there are multiple ways of adding devices. First of all, you can do them one by one, which is always an option, especially if you only need to monitor a specific device in a specific environment, that is doable. But you can also do it in multiple ways. So you can do a net scan and bring these into a platform. You can do a CSV upload if you have that. You can do an API via the API into the CMDB platform. So all the devices that exist in the CMDB platform will be brought into LogicMonitor for monitoring. So there are multiple ways depending on how you are configured as a business and what is the best way for you to move forward with monitoring. We also offer website monitoring. So this is another feature as well. So again, we get external checks from, let me quickly check. There we go. We get external checks from a few locations globally, 2 in the US, 2 in Europe. Oh, there we go, graphs. I'm quickly moving this, there we go. So you can get DC, Oregon, obviously Dublin in Europe, and then Singapore and Australia. So these are the main where the checks come from. You can also do internal checks if you want to check, VPN connectivity and so on. And you can also set steps for checking, so you can add more than one step if that is required for your business. So quickly going to settings to show you, we mentioned that we have a lot of technologies out of the box, but what does that really mean for you? So if I'll go to our data sources live here, and this is the monitoring template that we call out of the box. If I look for any technology, so let's say Cisco for argument's sake here, you will see that you have all of these out of the box already here. So if I click on Cisco CPU, for example, you will be able to see that this is, first of all, this is discovered every day, and it's pulled in as well every day. And here are the values that you're getting back. Let me look at something, maybe a Meraki device. To give you an example, a switch. And again, in this case, you'll see that the data points that are being collected are listed below. So you quickly understand what is being collected, what metrics are you getting. You also we'll run through quickly alerts to see how these are configured as well. So I'll show you this next. But at any point, if you want to add any technology to LogicMonitor, or you want to add a data source from our Exchange platform, this is very easy to do. So again, you can just add the script yourself, or add it from the different environments. So the LM Exchange is this environment. And I'm opening it just for you to see that this is a collaborative environment that we have. And obviously it includes you have the data sources that you have, but you also have the public repository, which is where our own customers upload some of their technologies or some of the data sources that they've written or we've written, for them to be able to bring them into platform. So Microsoft SQL Server, as an example, could be brought in. Quickly going back to settings to show you alerts, just for you to see that these are pre-configured out of the box. So if you go to alert rules, alert rules. So here you can see, for example, the escalation chains that are set in place. So again, and these are all editable, so you can set who they need to go to and after how long. But you can see that stage 1, for example, for the network team will go to the NOC team, stage 2 will go to the network team, and stage 3 will go, if this is still an issue that hasn't been resolved, will go to the manager. And again, these are all configurable, so it really depends on how your organization is set up. Are there any questions or any specific areas that you want me to focus on?
Yeah, a couple of more questions. Like in case of for migration, is it required a previous solution team support for the historical data?
I don't. This is a question I'll have to take to our technical team. I'm not sure how we would get the historic data, so it's a question for me to come back to you, Belgian, and then we can get back to the team.
Sure. How LogicMonitor differentiate from competitors in terms of features or customer benefits? Because most of the features which you explained, it's similar to the other people, but you might have some key points which differentiates from others. Could you please explain?
Yes, of course. Is there a specific tool that you want me to compare to?
I'll just wait for his comment.
No worries.
You can compare with the top 1 or 2 monitoring tools.
Sure.
So, okay, SolarWinds. He is using SolarWinds, so he just want to know SolarWinds.
Perfect. Yeah, definitely. So one of the main differentiators we have to SolarWinds is obviously that we provide everything in one place. The way we've developed our technology has always been to increase the capabilities without having to add modules. So it's all in one place. It's all available within this one platform. Obviously, the main differentiator with SolarWinds is we're a SaaS platform. They're very much an on-prem platform. We are agentless. So we use the collector technology to monitor environments without having to install an agent on every device. SolarWinds is very much an agent tool where you need to install an agent on devices to monitor them. And again, kind of, I think from a licensing standpoint, it's worth to note, like SolarWinds has a support package. The way LogicMonitor works, your license includes free of charge support 24/7. So again, at any point, if you have any issues in the middle of the night, within the LogicMonitor platform, you can automatically connect with our support team and chat to them to help you resolve the issues that you're having. And lastly, obviously, with all legacy tools, if we're gonna do a direct comparison there, with all legacy tools here as well, LogicMonitor has the out-of-the-box capabilities. So again, from day one of getting these resources, I'll see if I can find any here if any of them are new for me to show you from day one. But essentially, they do not need much requirement, much configuration. So as soon as, let's see, CPU, for example. So as soon as the device is in, this will automatically start collecting data. So this device has been into our platform for a long time. It's been in there for over a year. But again, so at any point you can bring new devices in, and from day one you'll get metrics in.
Thank you.
So ease of deployment and rapid deployment.
Please, any more question if you wanted to address? This is the platform. Please shoot.
I'm happy to go into specific technologies or specific areas. Please let me know what is of interest for you today. I'll go into the mapping to show you how our mapping function works as well. Let me see what's available today. So this is just an idea of how we do layer 2, layer 3 mapping. So again, you have the direct relationship between the devices. We have, so alerts are suppressed. So let's say a specific device goes down, bringing down with it many other devices. Instead of having however many, 20, 30 alerts because the whole network went down, you will have one, and all the other alerts will be suppressed. You can still see them in your alerts page, but the comment you'll have a little note in the comment section to say alert has been suppressed, as this is a dependent alert. So dependency role here, you'll be, at the moment, we don't have any alerts. I've checked this morning, or else I would have shown you, but we don't have any alerts. So again, it would have been suppressed if you have any dependencies in there that bring, in a device tree where you have the top of the tree bringing down the rest of the devices. Similar here, you can see that the suppression type is anomaly detection. So again, depends on what you've set in terms of rules and alerts for how intelligent you want the platform to be.
Is there any option to get network layout whenever you add devices?
Like a topology map?
Yes.
Like this. Is this I hope this answers the question. So we are able to automatically start building these maps. If we can see the connection of how these two devices speak to each other, we will automatically draw it out. Obviously, you can configure these, especially if the connection isn't disclosed. So you can easily add to say, this device speaks to this device in this way. Or here is the relationship between these two devices.
From a reseller point of time, when they do MSP level, do you have the multi-tenancy approach? And in that also, you will show these kind of network layers?
Yeah, so with the managed servers option, there are a few ways that you can move forward. Obviously, depends on how you offer your services to your end customers. Do you want your end customer to have their own portal that they can go access? That is an option. The other option is obviously using our role-based access control, so users and roles. And this is what I was referring to earlier, where you can give specific organizations, instead of having it as manager, you'll have the name of the company, and they will only be able to view their own dashboards and their own resources within your platform. So there is a lot of role-based access controls, and obviously we can set child accounts or a portal for the end customer where you have visibility on the device count and the usage. Any other questions?
No, nothing.
Perfect. Worth mentioning that we do have access to single sign-on, so we can, if it isn't a requirement for a customer to have LogicMonitor linked into single sign-on, we do have the option there. NetScan capabilities is what I was talking about earlier, how to bring in devices into the platform. So again, I don't have the functionality because none of us are admin in our own demo portal, but you can add basic net scan, and this will automatically scan your environment and bring the devices in using the collectors that you have in place. Does this make sense? Any last questions before we reach the end of the hour?
I think almost everything got covered in details. If anyone would love to know and try, we'll have one-to-one session in detail later time. If questions are okay, are they using SNMP protocols?
Yes. Yes,
Akhil, could you please clarify the question more? Yeah,
so
you understood already.
We use SNME protocols, WMI, JDBC, so that we have 20 protocols that our collector speaks. So as soon as your collector is deployed, this is how we'll communicate. So it already has these protocols built into it, and this is how we'll communicate and understand what devices you have in your environment. So to answer the question is yes.
Yes. Okay. So I hope questions are done. We'll wait for another 2 more minutes. If you have something else to show, something interesting, which
yes, definitely. I can show. Anyone want to see any specific device in here? Anyone interested in any specific technology that I can show you how we do it in LogicMonitor? Let's go for an SQL server.
If you could talk a little more in depth on database monitoring, will be good.
Sure. Let me see if we have a configured dashboard already, because then I can just show you all the data. Database. There we go. There we go. Hopefully it's populated. Sometimes it's not, because obviously the environment does change regularly. But luckily for us, we do have an SQL dashboard that's already pre-configured here with the information. But again, this is just referring back to the type of metrics that you're getting back from LogicMonitor. Again, this is all out of the box. So including the dashboard. The dashboard will auto-populate as soon as you have these into the platform. So here, for example, you're looking at response times. And again, we can look at longer timeframes to see how has this changed over time. We can also look at alerts in more detail. And this would be interesting, I think. So again, here you can get each of them, each of the different layers.
Please show how it works on Linux server.
Let's see. I'm hoping, again, we have a dashboard pre-configured, but fingers crossed. Oh, we do. Good. So Linux, again, this is just to show the metrics that we are pulling back automatically. Again, here, I think would be interesting to see the memory utilization. So, So again, you can see the different layers, and you can change the change the range to view to view whichever date range you need. Let me see if we can do some forecasting, and you can do some forecasting based on each of them. It will load. This one's not the right one. So it will give you a kind of a forecast of what to expect in terms of behavior of that specific.
In case of any failure, will it do the backup automatically?
So we do recommend having a collector failover. So every location having the main collector that's being reused and the backup collector at the same time. And the backup collector will automatically come into play as soon as if the main collector ever goes down. So you have security there to know that your environment is going to constantly be running. And your environment is going to constantly be monitored for you to know what exactly is happening.
When is it answer your question? Thank you.
I'm going to zoom in here. So again, you can have more granularity. You can even go deeper and deeper. And the great part is that we store this data for 1 to 2 years unaggregated. So you are able to have the zoom functionality, even if it's data from a year ago. So even if I go to last 3 months, for example, and I want to look at this specific segment, and then go into in-depth, you have the capability there as well. And again, these are all data sources out of the box. So, we have 16 Linux resources in this platform. Your environment will be very different. We have the trend in terms of throughput.
Can you please discuss about application monitoring?
So with the application monitoring, we only get to OS level metrics. We are not an APM tool. We don't get to code level with LogicMonitor. So you would still need an app dynamics or a new relic in place to do that on the APM side.
Now, application performance monitoring, anything, what level? It's only certain level, right?
It's only OS level metrics. So that's the layer, where we're telling you if the service is running and so on, but we don't go into the code itself. We can't go in and tell you, this is the code that's changed in the script, and this is why the application is running. This is not, we are definitely still on the infrastructure side of things. We're trying to expand our reach and exposure, but we're not there yet. It is on the plan, so it is on our roadmap to develop these APM functionalities within the LogicMonitor platform for you to have the full observability tool that we want to present. But this is still on the roadmap and not expected till at least next year. So for now, it's still really on the OS levels front.
Any specific area where you have presence other than the usual monitoring tool does?
Sorry, could you repeat that, Belgian?
Do you have any other specific area you are taking care of other than the usual monitoring tool does?
So we recently acquired logs. So in my demo, so we acquired a company called Unomaly from Sweden, and we've integrated their log anomaly detection into the LogicMonitor platform to give you an overlay of log data on top of the infrastructure data. So that really just gives you the additional information of what is going on. We're not a log tool, so we don't replace a Splunk, but we have the functionality to give you we only store the anomalous logs that we find, and only for 3 months. I don't believe this specific demo portal has it yet, so that's why I haven't showed it yet. But we are hopefully releasing a new demo portal with the log piece in the coming few months. So I'll be able to demo that piece to you guys, maybe on a follow-up, and we can talk about the log and the acquisition of Airbrake as well, which will give you a step into the APM world as well. Any other questions?
Is there any tool available to manage and view IP addresses, DHCP management, user association, switch port where the user is?
Let me see. Apologies, I am not the most technical person in the room, so bear with me. No, it would be I will take that question to our technical team and come back to you because I actually don't know the answer to that.
But you can manage and view IP addresses in DHCP management.
Sorry, I can manage what?
You can manage and view IP addresses.
We can manage and view IP addresses. So we use the IP address range to bring devices into the platform. So we can definitely have a view on that. The question, so that's not an issue, but I just don't know how to show it to you.
Are we expecting anything more, or if the questions are done? Thank you so much. Anyway, people were attentive and they were asking so many questions. Thanks for making it very interactive.
Thank you so much for attending. Again, if there are any additional questions that you remember after the session, please feel free to send them to Belgian. We can. He's happy to schedule sessions with you or get these answered for you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. I shared my email address also to in chat for everyone. Thank you once again for everyone to make yourself available for this session. Thank you, Ken, for taking us all together about what LogicMonitor does. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Belgian, for hosting us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.